All right, here we go. We are back, and I think we're better than ever. I'm not 100% sure, but
Hey, your hat says "Life is good, man."
life is
Life
good.
is good,
That's
dude.
right. Life is good. Well, it's me, Andrew Kulha, with Packers Roundtable, here with my buddy Anthony Moeglin, who's basically our resident Dan Orlovsky, if you think about it.
Oh,
So,
there we go. Heck yeah,
yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, give just a little inside baseball here. So Anthony literally just came from another podcast with another reporter or slash, beat guy like me. So you're really kind of making the rounds, aren't you?
I make the round. So I was just doing Ohio State, and all of these are on Roundtable. So when you're on the Roundtable pages, if you hit choose team, you'll find me at Ohio State. You'll find me Cleveland Browns. You'll find me with the Packers. You'll find me on the Eagles. You'll find me on Bills, and then there's one more, and it's slipping my mind. But my weeks are just writing and pod. Go to real work, come home, write and pod all night. So I'm floating around everywhere, and I do appreciate that because I'm getting to watch a ton of good football this year. None of it has to do with my hometown team, but I'm getting some fun football and care about some fun football. So
how the heck did the Browns lose to the Titans? Why don't we start with that?
Good question. And how did they do it when their quarterback threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran for one? He played his ass off. And for the first time all year, our defense got carved up. The defense that shut the Packers down got absolutely sliced and diced all game long. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And the last thing I'll say is that the Cleveland Browns have the worst special teams group in all of football. Doesn't matter the level. You could tell me college, high school, pee-wee, first grade, second grade, whatever. The Browns have the worst special teams out of all of them, and cost them another football game. So
what that tells me, Anthony, is that you've been dozing off during Packers special teams plays.
No, dude. If we had any other special teams group, the Browns would have 6 wins right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a lot to talk about regarding the Packers, and I know that was a negative Nancy comment I just made, but
why are we negative, dude? What are we?
I've been hanging out with Evan too long. If you don't win the NFC, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So let's talk about it, right? Topic 1: the Packers for now are the kings of the NFC North, the kings of the North. They beat the Chicago Bears 28-21 this past weekend in Lambeau. Cold weather game. I mean, that's football, man. NFC North football. Love to hear your thoughts.
Andrew, that was my immediate takeaway was this is football. Like, this is football heaven. It's the Bears who are good. It's the Packers who are good. They're playing in Lambeau. It looks cold. I think I saw a couple snow flurries falling down. You're like, oh, yeah, baby. This is exactly this is what you fall in love with as a little kid. This is what keeps you coming back year after year, man. And it was a good back and forth football game. People probably don't want to hear it, but the Bears are a really good football team, and the Packers beat a really good football team last night or Sunday night. And that was an impressive win, man. And I take away that those are 2 good football teams that are going to face each other one more time for sure, but maybe another time in the postseason.
Yep, they're going to face each other in just 2 weeks, which is crazy that's how the schedule plays out. I kind of like it, to be honest. It's intense. Let's talk about some of the overarching thoughts, and then we'll kind of dig in a little bit more into this game. I was just thinking, looking at the Packers schedule, there were times this season where I got on here with you and I said, Matt LaFleur needs to be fired. Jordan Love is who is Jordan Love? What's this defense really? What's this offense? And you close your eyes, and we were talking offline about life moving fast. Well, this season has moved fast, and we were really down in the dumps after the Panthers loss, after the loss to the Eagles. But now the Packers have rolled off 4 straight wins. 3 of those are against NFC North teams. They beat the Giants, the Vikings, the Lions, and now the Bears. They are 4-0 against the NFC North. This team has, I think, turned it around. They're playing some really good football right at the best time of the season.
Andrew, and those wins against the NFC North, man, those are the ones that, those almost count for like 1.5, or some say it counts as 2 wins because they're so big, man. They're such big wins, and to take care of business the way that they have has been pretty damn impressive. And that's kind of the big thing that stands out to me is that you look back earlier in the year, And what did we say? You go back to that Browns-Cowboys stretch, and you're like, hey, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in here. And if a good team will take those lessons and get better from it, a bad team will just let those go and fester and become major problems. Packers are 9-3, man. 9-3-1. They're 9-3-1. And like you said, at the top of the North for now, and they've taken all of the bad stuff and gotten better because of it, and now are playing. I don't want to see the Packers. Nobody should want to see the Packers at all in the playoffs, man. It's impressive, and there's been many times on this show where you and Evan have said, "Fire this coach, man." And he's got him rolling here at the right time.
Yep. Let's talk about LaFleur a bit. I wasn't really planning on it, but I think he deserves credit. We've seen him adjust. Some of the big things that I've seen over the course of this season were the team, if you can remember this, they were really struggling with penalties earlier in the season, and they've knocked that down. They went from 10 penalties a game to there was a stretch here in these 3 wins against the Giants, Vikings, and Lions in which they had 10 penalties over 3 games, which is great. You'll take that every day. So LaFleur's really kind of ratcheted down on the discipline. I mean, just looking at what they did against the Bears, let me see here, penalties 6, so a few more, but still, overall, they've really played more disciplined football. We've seen LaFleur get aggressive, and that was something that really he's not known for, but especially against the Lions 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving, he got really aggressive. I thought he called a really good game against the Bears. Is this the evolution of a coach, or is it, I've seen online maybe there's ideas that he kind of holds back earlier in the season depending on who the opponent is?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably an element to that. There's probably an element to getting, kind of settling into a season, which some teams have the luxury to do, others don't. And if that becomes your MO, that's certainly the case. But I think, Andrew, what's most impressive to me is that look at this at a big picture. Look at this Packers year so far. He's had to do this without his best weapon in Tucker Kraft. Okay, he's had to elevate other guys around him, find ways to make Christian Watson a legit number 1 receiver, find ways to replace your tight end. You go back a few weeks, Josh Jacobs not playing. He gets a 107-yard day out of Emmanuel Wilson in the backfield against the Vikings. And it's like little things like that where, big injuries to key players derail other teams. This Packers team is finding ways to not only cover for those injuries, but to get better from it, man. That's in all of it. That's what really stands out to me is that they're doing it against good competition and they're doing it not at full strength. And, when you get to this point in the season, no team's at full strength. And the ones who can come up with victories at it are going to separate themselves. And he's doing it with this group. It's impressive.
Yep. This is the NFL. Every team has major injuries. You look at the Lions from a couple weeks ago. They're without their tight end, Sam Laporta, who's a heck of a player. They lost Amon-Ra St. Brown in that Thanksgiving game. The Bears were without Rome Odunze, who's a heck of a player himself. So this is just life in the NFL, especially as it gets colder. People are going to get injured. To your point, Bo Melton had a touchdown. On Sunday. Bo Melton, who was a wide receiver, a 7th-round pick, who they switched the corner and who they're using back at wide receiver again. And if that's not an indication of good coaching, that a guy like that can get a touchdown, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, and then even getting into the X's and O's of it too, man, like that big touchdown ball to Christian Watson was like it was just schemed up to perfection. The slant route touchdown, again, schemed up and executed to perfection. And those plays, man, it better than most, right? You get into these high leverage situations and your big plays have to show up. Jordan Love, awesome, right? Playing the best football he's played. We didn't have that boneheaded mistake that we've had in the past. And he comes out of it and you're feeling really good. This team's feeling really good about themselves. And, truthfully, Andrew, they have to, because look at the flip side of this. The Bears were in first place before they played the Packers. They're now the 7th seed, right? And that's just the way that this is, man. You're going to have to win the North, and there's going to be a very, very good football team that's on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff time, and you can't let it be yourself. And the Packers are trying to take care of it as best they can.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit more overarching stuff, and then we'll dig in a little bit deeper. You just brought it up, so let's talk about it. The Rams are currently the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're 10-3. They're playing really good football. With the win, the Packers not only took the North for now, but they are now the 2nd seed in the NFC. The Eagles are third seed. The Buccaneers, who had a really bad loss to the Saints, 4
They're
seed.
spiraling.
Yeah. Seahawks are 5th. 49ers are the 6th. The Bears are the 7th. And right now it's the Detroit Lions, who had a really nice game themselves against the Cowboys, who are really on the outside looking in. So everything you've seen this season, and I know you've watched a lot of football, you've watched a lot of this Packers team. Are they a true contender?
They have to be, Andrew. Like, just reading through that list, you can't say the Eagles are going to beat you every single time. You certainly can't say that the Buccaneers are going to beat you. Seattle's one of those teams, and they're in the 5th seed. They're 10-3 as the 5th seed, and they are legit. That's the legit team. They can beat you, but that's Sam Darnold in the playoffs. I think San Francisco's fake this year. Chicago obviously showed that they can hang with you. I think that. That's just on the NFC side. The AFC side is even more of a crapshoot. Like, Denver is the number 1 seed. They are Jekyll and Hyde right now. And New England's probably the best team, definitely the best team in the AFC. But, like, there's not many teams who you'd line up and say the Packers can't beat. Actually, there's 0 teams that you line up and say that the Packers can't beat. To me, it's the Rams and then the field in the NFC.
Yeah.
And guess what the Rams did last week? They lost to the Panthers. And you're like,
Panthers, yeah.
Okay, so everybody can get beat. So because of that, I don't think that there is an absolute juggernaut. And because of that, I say yes, absolutely, Green Bay is a true contender. And they can beat anybody on any given Sunday.
You know what the NFC reminds me of now? I don't know how much you watch NBA ball, but back in the day, the Western Conference, you'd go, the Lakers, the Kings, and the Spurs, and you just go down the list, and there were teams winning 50 games and being, seated low in the playoffs, and this is kind of what the NFC looks like right now.
And they get to the finals, and I remember the one in 2007. The Spurs get to the finals and have to go through a grinder of a Western Conference, and then they sweep the Cavs in 4 games. And like Tony Parker and Tim Duncan didn't even play in the 4th quarter. Like, it was like that, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, yeah, these teams are different. I think that's an astute point by you, man. That's it's a really good comparison.
Well, I stole it off somebody from Reddit, so let's give credit to where.
Come on, take credit.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about
we're honorable here on Roundtable.
Honorable, yes. We're I think in basketball they call it ethical
hoops, baby.
Yeah, this is ethical podcasting. Let's talk about this real quick as we're talking about the contender status. I think we might get a real peek at what this Packers team can do playoff-wise against the Denver Broncos this upcoming weekend. They're 11-2. They've won, I can't even count how many in a row. They're winning a lot of ball games. They win in different ways. They've got a good defense. They've got I think, a pretty decent quarterback in Bo Nix. Does this matter? Again, it's an AFC opponent, so you can take the loss, but you don't want to take the loss. What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
Okay, so this is and you guys will, as you guys get prepared for this game, you'll see a lot of this. The Broncos are 10-0 or 10, 11. What are they? 11-3, 11-2.
You just hit every single record. 11-2.
11-2. So they beat the Raiders last week by a touchdown. They beat the Commanders, who just got boat raced by the Vikings. They beat them by 1. They beat the Chiefs by 3. They beat the Raiders by 3. They beat the Texans by 3. They thumped the Cowboys. Now we're getting back. They beat the Giants by 1. They beat the Jets by 2. The Eagles by 4. And then they have a 3-point win or a 3-point loss to the Chargers. They have a 1-point loss to the Colts, and then a 8-point win to the Titans. Their entire schedule is 1-score games, and they are just coming out on the right side of it, right? And what does that tell me? That tells me they will play and they're going to compete until there's 0 seconds on the clock. And that is absolutely the case with them. They are hard-nosed, they're tough, and they don't quit. They don't give up. Their quarterback is either really good or really bad, and he's going to fight until the death. And that part, I think, super good. This game absolutely tells you, Andrew, that if the Packers go out and look good, this is one of the top teams in the AFC. I don't think they're the top team in the AFC, but you got to go out and prove that you're the top team in the NFC and win a game like this.
Yep. It's also a game on the road at Mile High Stadium, which is always kind of an interesting place.
You ever been to Mile High?
I never have. I think maybe we should meet there for a game sometime. That'd be a lot of fun.
Andrew, I'm going to tell you something. There's some stadiums. So I've been to a handful now. I don't know if I've ever said my Lambeau story on this podcast, but I've been to Lambeau. A Christmas Day game against the Browns where you guys picked off Baker Mayfield 4 times. Never forget it.
I remember that one.
I remember that, and there's more of a story that comes along with it. I'll save it for Christmas Day. I was at Mile High actually the day that the Browns lost to the Jets when the Jets scored 14 points in a minute. I was at Mile High that day, and it was Russell Wilson playing. I forget who they played. But I'm telling you what, man, what an unbelievable stadium. And if you sit on it faces east or it faces north and south. So if you sit on the eastern side of the stadium, you just look at mountains the whole time. It is one of the most gorgeous. Wow. It's one of the most gorgeous stadiums I've ever seen. It's a really cool spot to watch a football game.
That's great. I want to hear the Lambeau story. Well, we can do it later. Just looking it up for funsies. Was this a 29-12 Broncos win over the Browns, perhaps?
No, it wasn't over the Browns. I was not at that game. No, the Browns. I'll never forget it. I was out in Denver for work, and the Browns were at home.
Oh, that's right. And they're playing the Jets.
They scored. Nick Chubb scored to go up 13 points. We missed the extra point. There was a minute and 14 seconds left. Joe Flacco was the quarterback for the Jets. We leave the bar. We leave the bar after Nick Chubb scores. I get in an Uber. By the time I Uber to the stadium, I get out, and everyone's like, I'm wearing Browns gear. And everyone's like, oh, my God, like, how are you, like, still alive? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, the Browns lost. And I'm like, no, they didn't. They were up 2 touchdowns. And they're like, oh, my word. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. So
that's great. That's great. I'm sure we could just do a weekly anthology series of terrible moments with the Browns.
I got plenty. Plenty.
Maybe we'll do an audiobook one day on that. Let's go back to the Packers. Yeah. Jordan Love. I told you we're going to dig in. I want to dig in first on Jordan Love. You mentioned earlier that we didn't see that boneheaded play. I'm gonna push back on you. He had that interception in the first quarter. What the heck was he looking at? I don't know. Listening to him after the game, he said it was just a bad throw. It was a bad read. He thought the ball came off his hand funny. I think what he was trying to do ultimately was kind of put it into a window. Okay, we'll take that. Ultimately, though, 17 of 25 passing, 234 yards, and 3 touchdowns with the 1 interception. His touchdown passes were beautiful. He's really seemingly – funny how if you ever watch him play, he sticks his tongue out like Jordan. Now he's kind of got a fadeaway, with the throw. I love what's going on with the development of this guy, and would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, he's just, he's playing at such a level right now where, I look at the touchdown pass he threw to Christian Watson, the first one, the big long ball, and it was right before half, and that was one the one to Bo Melton was right before half. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So the Watson one was different, but I remember just seeing him drop back to pass, and you could have told me that was Aaron Rodgers in a different number, and I'd have been like, yeah, he just sat back there and kind of had that tilted up shoulders and that launch pad, and you could see him wait for it to develop, and he's like, all right, pull trigger and just flick of the wrist, perfect. And when why that stood out to me is it just feels like he's seeing the field so well, and he's playing Andrew with so much confidence, even after that bad interception early on, he responded and responded properly, and never, there's no doubt that ever crept into his mind. And I think that that's really important as we're getting into mid-December here, that, hey, mistakes are going to happen, but we got to respond to them. And he's responding to them in major, major ways. Yep.
It's kind of like you talk about cornerbacks, just move on. If you give up a pass, you move on, you keep playing. And that's also the mindset you have to have as a quarterback, because they're not all going to be perfect.
Short memory, man. You got to have the memory of a goldfish, dude. You got to just – and it's Andrew, you know what it is? It's also not only the bad plays, but it's the good ones, right? Yeah. If you're thinking about that touchdown to Christian Watson for the whole rest of the game, you're going to play like shit the rest of the way. You got to flush that stuff and move on. He's doing that really well right now.
Yep. The other thing with Love, and I'm not sure how deep you got into this as you were watching, but you talk about the Christian Watson touchdown, not the one where he just kind of flicked the wrist, but the one that ended up being a slant. And listening to Love after the game, what happened there is he saw the pressure come, and he knew that they were in man, maybe with one high safety, and he called an audible there. And, that's exactly what you're looking for. Later on in the game, in the fourth quarter, when Josh Jacobs got that touchdown to put them up 7, that was actually a call that Love checked out. He checked out of the one play, canned it, and then went to that run play. So what we're seeing, not only is the quarterback playing really good, but he's he's clearly developed kind of a next level understanding of Matt LaFleur's offense.
That's the coach on the field, right? That's the guy who, and sometimes, Andrew, so like just kind of let's nerd out just for a moment. So sometimes you get into a huddle and you get a play call, you get 2 play calls. So it could be, let's just call it, we could go dice right, 32 dive, Apple or alert, right? This is how it would sound. Dice right, 32 dive, alert, 362, X slant. Okay, so those are the 2 plays on one, ready, break. Then you get up to the line, and that's where you hear him go, Apple, 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 and you start hearing him do this. Yeah. Or in the Packers world, they can it, right? So can, and that is changing it to play 2. So what that tells me is that in that second play, that run option, when he canned it, they had 2 plays up in the huddle, and you look for one or 2 things. All right, you see your trigger, and then you can it. Well, that's great. But when you can go and audible to something and completely say, hey, I got my 2 receivers this way, they're giving me a look that we didn't think we would get. Hey, easy. Hey, and then you do that at the line of scrimmage. That is telling me you're playing. That's QB 401, 501 stuff, man. That's coach on the field. That is getting your guys in the right spots. And when you do that and you're seeing it so well, and Andrew, you're confident in what you're seeing, touchdowns happen, right? Big plays happen like that. And that's what you saw. It was so impressive to see that from him, man. So cool.
And we talked for years, not you and I, but just the general football population, that was what made Aaron Rodgers so special, was that he could see the field, see the play. He was incredible pre-snap, changing the plays. Obviously, he was well known for his ability to get people off sides with his cadence. But what we're seeing, I think, is Love develop. And that's what makes the next level quarterback. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but you can have all the talent in the world, but it's once you start really understanding the offense and your checks and the ways that you can manipulate the defense, that's where you get your Peyton Mannings, your obviously Brady. You can go on and on, but those are the great quarterbacks. They can manipulate the defense.
And I'd even go let's talk about now. That's where you get to be Matt Stafford. That's where you get to be in. Let's call Sam. Let's put Sam Darnold in that category. That's where you get to be in Jared Goff, right? Where those are the guys you're competing against. And then the AFC side, that's how you get to beat Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers and some of these elite guys. That's what. Everybody in the NFL has talent, Andrew. Everybody's the best player on their college team. They're the best player on their high school team, probably the best player in their state. But the reason that you can become good at college or at pro football is because of what's in between your ears, right? How fast can you see it? How fast can you process it? He learned from the best ever in Aaron Rodgers, and now he's doing Aaron Rodgers type things, man. And that part's scary. He's only 27. He's only 27 years old.
Yep, only 27. I think about this often, and it's just going to be a small point, and we'll move on. The very fact that he's even a halfway good quarterback is insane when you think about it. Just the chances of going from Favre to Rodgers to even a halfway decent quarterback, let alone a guy we're talking about as a top 10 quarterback. It's insane.
Andrew, and then it goes back to, at some point you can point to it being lucky. At some point, you got to just acknowledge that the Packers do this. This is who the Packers are, and they do it time after time. They develop. They don't rush. They wait till he's ready, and then they put him in. And It's really cool, man. You guys got it good.
Yep. You can be the best quarterback in the world at manipulating a defense, but you also have to have some people to throw the football to who can actually catch the football, and that's been a problem in years past for the Packers. Right now, I think we've got some players playing at a really high level. You already mentioned the loss of Tucker Kraft. I think that the Packers, and again, credit to LaFleur, and I can't believe a couple weeks ago I was saying fire him because he's really figured this out. You're looking at Christian Watson, who, in my opinion, is becoming a superstar right before our very eyes. Jayden Reed has come back after missing multiple weeks, and he looked like he didn't miss a beat. Even Luke Musgrave, who's the tight end, who's replacing Tucker Kraft, he had a couple catches. I want to talk specifically about Watson first. He had 4 catches for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's just so rare, to have a guy who's 6'4", 208 pounds, and he's got the speed to just take a slant and go 60 yards with it, or however long that was. Do you agree with me that this guy's becoming a star, or is this more of a scheme thing?
It could be whatever you want it to be. You could blame it on whomever or give credit to whomever. He's absolutely becoming a star. And you see that and, biggest play of the game, or the two biggest plays of the game. And he does it in two different ways, right? He can go vertical down the field. We've known that about him since he entered the league. Yep. He is a deep, deep threat. Awesome. He does that and he succeeds at it. Great. Then the next time he scores, he runs a 2-yard route and catches the ball. Andrew, hand catch, right? He's always been a body guy. He goes, catches it with his hands, plucks it, and up the sidelines and gone, right? And that's where you see that speed become such a factor, so much closer to the line of scrimmage. And man, that's his next step in development, especially, Andrew, after an ACL injury, right? He just tore his ACL last year, and he's come back and done all this off of that. He's in unbelievable spot right now. They're using him perfectly. Him and Jordan have great connection, and you'll not find me saying that he's not a star in this football league, because he is. Yeah,
he's really stepped up, and you have to wonder if maybe getting that time off from the ACL and everything I heard about is he took that so serious getting back, and maybe that was actually the push he needed to find that next gear, which is, you see that happen, players making a comeback. Speaking of Reed, he injured his collarbone in week 2. He also had a foot injury that he's dealing with. He came out in this game, and I know the numbers aren't huge, but he caught 4 passes on 4 targets, 31 yards. He ran twice for 22 yards. I think, Anthony, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think with all the pieces the Packers have, you're talking Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. On Thanksgiving, we talked about Dontavian Wicks, who had 2 touchdowns. Reed, Melton, sure, let's go Bo Melton. And then we're not even talking about Matthew Golden, the first-round pick rookie. I think LaFleur has the pieces where we can say now that he's figured out how to keep this offense moving without Kraft.
No doubt, man. No doubt. 8 different guys caught passes on Sunday. 8 different guys, 10 different guys had targets on Sunday. That tells me that Jordan Love does not care who's on the field. He is throwing it to the right guy, right? That is coaches getting guys in the right positions. That's them all running their right routes and doing it on time. And that's Jordan getting through his progressions and finding the open guy. That is, I've said it a couple times on the show, this group is a whole lot of good. It doesn't seem to me, and Christian Watson's kind of separating a little bit to show me that he's a great player, but this is a lot of good in here. And when you have a lot of good and they're all bought into it, it becomes a group that you don't want to face. And this is it, man. It doesn't matter who's on the field. Bo Melton's on the field. He hits the touchdown, right? Who would have thought that, right? He was playing cornerback, right? That's what it is. And they're playing at such a high level that each one of them can go. And it goes back to what I said at the top, right? He's coaching at such a high level that, making up for losing your best pass catcher, your best player. And they're doing it by committee. And it's pretty cool.
Yep. Talk about best players. Let's talk here at the end about Micah Parsons, who is always the best player on the field whenever he's stepping on the field. If you notice the topic, I made a little bit of a funny here. Hold on. Let's talk about Micah Parsons. The big scuttlebutt around Packers.
Hey, good comedians always got to point out their jokes, right?
Yeah. I'm basically Jerry Seinfeld. The big scuttlebutt around Packers internet was Micah Parsons seemingly was held on every other play. And, Matt LaFleur after the game, he kind of complained about it a little bit, said he doesn't know what a holding looks like now. Ultimately, you got to go play the game. Parsons knows this. He's not going to be the guy who cries about being held because he's been held his whole career. What are your thoughts on the holding, the lack of holding? Let's just talk about referees in general. They've kind of sucked this year.
Yeah. All levels. And as we talked about at the start, I watch a lot of football. They're bad everywhere. And the problem is it changes games. And I talked about this on Saturday on another program. And it's these referees can sometimes get picky and choosy, and they certainly have a hard job, but I'm sick and tired of using that as an excuse. I don't care if it's a hard job. It's a hard job. It's a hard job, but on Sundays you got to do the job. You have to do it and do it properly. The flip side is you could call a hold on every play, sure. But some of these you're getting to the point where they're super egregious and you're like, what are we even doing here? What are we watching? Because it's clearly not the play and it's not where you're supposed to be. And these change games, man. You can't tell me that, hey, we're not going to call holding on this drive because we didn't call on the last drive. You can't do that because that changes the flow of games and that changes the outcomes of games in many scenarios. We can't get fined on this show. The refereeing is in a horrible, horrible, horrible spot.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it's impacting games. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, you mentioned it. It's all across all levels. I think there's been lots of complaints in the ACC, if you're talking college football, about the referees, and Big Ten referees, SEC referees. They've always had kind of a I don't know. There's always been issues. Let's just say that. The thing is, you mentioned it though. I just did a little bit of research while you're talking. The average NFL referee earns $250,000 a year, and I could probably go out there for half of that and make some better calls with the amount of football that I watch, and I know you can do the same. So,
man,
yeah,
where did we go wrong, dude?
Yeah, where did we go? How did we end up podcasting? And so,
yeah, I mean, it's I there's a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of mercy for me when you it's a hard job. Yes, it's fast. These guys are big, they're strong, they're really good at what they do, but good Lord, you got to do the job. The job at hand is to officiate a football game, and you got to do it. And I don't want to hear that it's hard. I just don't want to hear it anymore, and it's got to be better.
Yep. All right, we're going to do a bonus round. I didn't prep you for this one, but we're talking referees, and it's not Packers related. It makes me think, though, about the College Football Playoff Committee. Woo! And I want to talk college football. Notre Dame being left out of the CFP in favor of Miami. What are your thoughts?
The right move. It's the right move.
Okay.
So let's go backstory here. I do our Buckeyes coverage for Buckeyes Roundtable.
Yes.
I've been on the Buckeyes beat for a while. I did not grow up an Ohio State fan. Okay, I grew up. My household was a Notre Dame household. My dad is beside himself. My dad didn't sleep last night. I just got a text saying, literally 10 minutes ago, okay, I've been holding my breath for 2 days. I just exhaled, and here it goes. And I haven't opened it yet, so I'm excited. Excited to see what that is. The Moeglin household in Canton is on. It must be on fire. I'm concerned for my mom because I feel like she's had to put up with a crying dad for the last 3 days. Yeah, it's the right move. It absolutely is the right move. You have to get the head-to-heads have to matter.
Yeah.
There's unfortunately with the way that the college football playoff is set up now, and just college football playoff in general, Andrew, there's never a right solution. There's 142 teams fighting for 12 spots. Somebody's getting left out every single year. And at 12, when you're leaving out teams 13, 14, 15, and 16, okay, I can buy that. The part that I can't stand, and I want your opinion on this, the group of 5 teams is I get the premise.
Yeah.
We're looking at 2 first-round games where there's 3 touchdown or there's 3 score lines. And you're like, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, you want to give them the shot, and I don't know what the answer is there because you're right. Was it JMU? They're going to get just absolutely torn up, and
they're going to get boat raced. The JMU's got Eugene, Oregon to play Oregon, and mind you, all right, let's talk about it from a game perspective. It's a 21-point. Oregon's 21-point favorites. How cool would that game be if it was Notre Dame as the 12th seed going to Oregon, right? From let's say amount of people are going to watch it, environment that's going to be that stadium's going to be half empty, right? For Oregon versus JMU, which could be. I was in the stadium last year for Ohio State versus Tennessee. It was the most electric environment I've ever been in my entire life. Yeah, it's not going to be that way, and it's because of this stupid rule of the group of 5 getting in. It's man, I don't know.
You know what? Maybe you take the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I love, and you make that into a play-in game, or Notre Dame versus JMU, and let them slug it out,
That's okay. Now we're on to something here because then it gives the group of 5 something to play for, and then it gives the first 2 out, which are probably teams who could actually compete, a chance to actually compete. That's interesting, Andrew. And you put it as the Cheez-Its Bowl or the Pop-Tart Bowl. Or whatever.
Yeah, it's got to be the Pop-Tart and the Cheez-Its. Those are your 2 games. And, the winner gets into the playoff and gets to eat a fully animated Pop-Tart at the end of the game.
I'll credit you for this, but I'm going to chew on this a little bit more.
Okay, good.
A more important follow-up question. What's the favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
I've always been a strawberry classic.
Strawberry's good.
You know what? You take the cinnamon and warm that up. That's what
On the 8th day, God made the cinnamon.
Yes, that's right. All right, last question for you. I give you Kirk Cignetti. Do you fire Ryan Day?
Oh, not Ryan Day. No. I don't know. Kirk Cignetti, man. That dude can coach.
He's intense, too.
Football. Holy cow, can he coach football? A better question is Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, my God, that kid.
Woo! That dude can play. Talk about playing quarterback. Oh, my word.
He's gonna be a fun player to watch in the NFL, I think.
If you haven't watched it at home, I would suggest it's an 11-minute clip. Put it on while you're cleaning. His interview on Pat McAfee. It is so good. Oh my God, it's so good. He's such an easy guy to root for, and he's going to be whoever gets him in the NFL next year. Everybody in the world is going to want him to succeed because he's that kid.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our college football podcast. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Seriously though, we could talk football all day, and that's I know if there's a fan base out there that can get down with that, it's Packers fans. So
that's right. Go Pack, go, baby. You said I'll keep sprinkling them in. Go Pack, go.
Sprinkle them in here or there. We'll get you a jersey eventually, and your conversion will be complete. Your conversion will be complete. All right, Anthony, thank you for getting on the podcast with me, buddy. All the listeners, the watchers, the readers, the commenters, man, we appreciate you guys over on Packers Roundtable Sports. Without you, we can't do what we do, and I think we enjoy what we do a hell of a lot. So appreciate everybody, and we will talk to you next week. Go Pack, go.